Welcome back to Factorio Launch Per Second. I think we're up to episode 13 now, and we're going to get back to working on the launch silo. As you remember, last episode we started killing some biters. Off camera I have killed off quite a bit more, and the tank's handy. If I need to push a bit further here, we can easily do it, but we've killed off quite a large area, so for now that should be fine. The other thing that I did off camera was I noted that if we just come down here, you can see I've got pumps here because I've fixed up the blueprint, but basically the pumps weren't getting produced, and it's because we were missing some of the pipes. In the pump recipe, that one was fine, but the pump 2 you need bronze pipe, which I don't think we're producing at all. So I created that, and we needed brass pipe, and we were producing brass pipe, but it wasn't in the network, so I added it to the network. That started making the pumps that we need, and I've just been going along stamping down our blueprint to get the pumps inserted back in. So we'll just pop out of the car for a sec. Stamp down that one, and can we reach that one? Stamp down that one. Jump back in the car. That's actually it. Right, now I don't know how much I've mentioned this, but really the challenge here is not so much stamping down 100 or perhaps in our revised edition 80 launch silos. It's in supplying those silos with sufficient resources so that they're continually able to push maximum resource into the silo. If that makes sense. So for example, let's start with what's probably the hardest part of these components, and that is the what are these guys? There they are, the low density structures. So they need 10 steel, 5 copper, 5 plastic. I'm going to start with the steel, because the steel seems, I mean, given that it's 10, it seems to be the thing that we have the biggest problem with. And judging by what happened with our test firing zone, it seemed that the first two could more or less keep up on a purple or mauve belt, or whatever this is, whatever colour that is. The fastest belt, purple, could supply, that speed belt could supply the required amount of steel to the first two. It seemed to be fine. The third one very slightly started dripping, slowing down, and then the fourth and fifth were definitely not getting enough supplied to them. So my theory is that we'll leave the first three. At the position number 4, we will inject another fully compacted belt of steel, and then we'll go 4, 5, 6, and then at 7 we will inject yet another fully compacted belt of steel to ensure that, you know, the throughput is sufficient. That's the theory. The other two, I think we will also look at injecting, but probably just at just after 5, so it'll be at a different silo, and we'll have to allow space for that. That's kind of where we're getting to, I guess. We'll allow some space. I don't know how many lines coming in we are going to need for these, what are they called, the rocket control units. That was something else that was starting to get a bit thin. The reason was probably the supply. I hadn't calculated out exactly how much supply we were going to need, so it could easily just be the supply. Maybe one compact super fast, what's it called, extremely fast transport belt. Maybe one line of that actually is enough, I don't know, but we need to allow a bit of space for that. So what I'm going to do is get to the beginning of the line, which is here. I am going to add 6 belts to this line because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because what that means is we'll have the 2 extras coming in. For at each row we need an extra plastic and an extra copper, it was, wasn't it, in the formula? Yeah, copper. An extra plastic and an extra copper. So that needs to go along to 5 and get injected in there. Which one was steel? This one here is steel, isn't it? Which is this one here. So this is steel coming in. Actually, it should be the one further over, shouldn't it? That would be steel coming in. This one here probably doesn't actually matter, but I can go back and check what I put in the original formula. It doesn't matter for the moment though. The important one is that steel coming in. So basically the middle one will be the steel coming in to each 3. So the idea is these 3 will be supplying over here. And then all of the rest of these will continue on down. The first 2 will be supplying the injection. The next 3 are the principal lines coming in from this side, and so on. So that's why 18 is correct. So 3 here, these 2 have already split off. So it's really 20, so it's 5 lines for each at the front. Now, that's kind of amusing. So 5 lines at the front. The steel, I'm thinking iron will come in on a train up here. This probably is not where it will be able to come in, because we will basically need 4 lots of iron coming out. The very bottom steel will look something like that, and above it there will be that's not really where I want it. Let's get rid of that before it gets built. I think I want it further over, so it's right over here. So yes, the bottom line will be bottom line of smelting will be like steel. Say roughly there, so there's a bit of space to put some stuff here, and that will be fed by an iron smelting. The front of this isn't really correct, but I'll put that down. Actually, I need to fix this because we want all of this to be the extremely fast transport belt. I don't think I want to use any of this other belt in this final design. So let's fix the design. Yeah, this side's not so important. So that would mean that we can get rid of that part. Then we can get rid of that blueprint and create a new one. Which we will use for our base iron coming in. I know it says it's steel at the moment, but we can change that. Now my idea is that each line of iron basically feeds 3 steel lines. So we would get another one. Oh, can't do that. Needs a line between them. But that one worked. We'll fix that up. So you get something like that, a pattern of 4 of these long arrays of well, electric multi-purpose furnaces, Mark IIs to be precise, but you get this long array, and basically it's going to be stamped down 4 times, 1 for each row. Which means I'm going to have to move some of these poles around because they're a little bit in the way of where I want to be, so let's do that. That pole can go here maybe, and I'm getting very close to that time when I am going to simply give up and get a set of fast legs so that we don't need to be doing the slow amble around the place. Oh, that's interesting. So that's kind of how one set of 4 would look, except that's not connected up obviously quite the way it needs to be. All of these need to be changed to iron smelting, because that's what they'll be. Oops. So that's all iron coming through there. Let's change how this belt mechanism works. So I think the one that comes in here is going to be the principal one, and then this will be secondary, this will be tertiary, and there'll be some residual iron that I'll probably send to the front. So we can come out with our we'll do that and that. Whoops. And that, and we'll have a residual. So that's how we will feed. We need to move this a bit further, I guess. We might have to play a bit with this, or maybe not. So we'll have residual coming down. We'll join each one into here. So there's only really one line of residual iron. What's this at the beginning here? So this is our flow of iron ore. It can just come in like so. And I think we need this basically copied 4 times. So 4 rows from the top, 4 rows from the bottom. That's how I am envisaging this whole... there we go, let's grab one of those. Let's grab all of that. Yes, and... leave a line because we might need it. That's 2 rows. Three rows if that worked. No. There must be... yes, we're getting some garbage in the way. Oh, there's a pole there. There's trees here. Is this a hazard? No. There we go. Oops. So that's 3. And that one there would make 4. I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. So that's kind of the bare bones of how we will be handling steel. So this one here, to connect up, comes out, joins up in steel, which is the second one here. And there you go. There you have it. One, 2, 3. So at this point, we need the first injection of steel. And the easiest way is probably to do something like this. So that's the direction of steel coming in. The existing line of steel and the combined line of steel carrying on. So one of these, I possibly, given the placement, it may have made more sense to have this reversed around, but never mind. That's one injection. We will need, so that's at 4, 5, 6, so just in here we need another injection. And the same thing again, basically. So that, and that. It'd probably make most sense if this injection happens from the higher of the two, just from, you know, where it is. So that one goes there, and this injection for now can come along here. Oops. Let's do this in reverse. And that's still connected up for one row. So as you go up higher, you then sort of, the next level up higher does this one, and then the next one is sort of, you know, concentrically going out as you go down. That's how it works. I think that's left us enough space. So now what we need to look at is how do we supply the iron to this arrangement. Wondering if the residuals should plug in here. Not really sure. But basically we'll end up with four columns of iron ore coming down, and probably the best way of dealing with this is actually to make a bit of a modification. Oh, some reason you didn't get filled. Hopefully there's robots on the way. It's probably the slow ones. So you could go in there. The next row down could come in there. Whoops, the next row oh, I didn't realise I had zigzagged. Never mind. It's done now. And then the final one and we'll bring these up to the top. So the exercise now is to supply four compacted, what is it again? Super fast, extremely fast transport belts of raw iron down into our factory via a train station. At the moment, I'm not sure whether I need a four-carriage car to do it, whether unloading, I could unload 2 carriages and have one dedicated track to each one of these lines, and whether that would be enough, or whether I need dual unloading that feeds a single line. I simply don't know yet. it will have to be something that we test. I'll probably test the two-car solution initially, because that would be a little bit more convenient. The traffic would move faster on my railway, which would be helpful. And if it works, then, you know, why do the 4? We're out of modules already. Gonna need a few modules. Give me all the modules. Let's get rid of some of these things as well. Here we go, modules coming back. I'm not going to sit here for another whole episode just plugging in modules. Wow. I can imagine you'd get bored of that fairly quickly, but let's go down to the one that we are most likely to be using soonest. Ensure that this one has modules. But our main base at the moment is going absolutely berserk, trying to produce additional modules, because they're not cheap. You do have to spend quite a few resources getting them. There we go, we're out again. And now we'll really know, because what we ordered just before was probably buffered up, but it could take a while to top us back up. Possibly. Yeah, it's they're drifting in rather slowly now. Alright, so what I might need to do is let the game sort of run for a little bit while we pick up these modules, and I can think about how this rail station is going to work for us. Because ideally I'd like a waiting area where we can have trains, so that we can pretty much have continuous throughput of trains coming in, unloading. As soon as their time's up, they move out immediately and make way for another train, so there's virtually no delay between traffic, and yeah, just see if the lines can be kept reasonably full. But that is going to have to be something we do in the next episode. So when you rejoin me, I'll be at the top trying to sort out a rail line, and we'll have modules in all of this stuff ready to go. Still means there's plenty more to do. We still have to organise the plastic, the whole oil on this side of things, the copper, the feed into the satellite, the control units with the circuits and modules that are needed for that, and then we'll probably test our line of 10, see if that holds together. If it does, we'll plug in the first 4, make sure that that all works, and if that all works, then we'll do a massive blueprint of it, copy it down, and you know, plug it in from below. That's kind of the plan going forward. So thanks for watching, and looking forward to seeing you for the rest of our journey. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next time. Bye.